Wait a minute. Who's saying you can't really speak against her because you will get blocked? I'm sorry. No, you won't. You're not going to come on my platform and act as if what I'm saying is some far-fetched idea. Nah, you're going to get blocked when you come in here with the bullshit. Period. Because one thing I know is that the Sodom and Gomorrah was not destroyed because of homosexuality. Read your Bibles if we're gonna go. Read your Bibles with the full interpretations of what it is. And I'm gonna start posting that man that I follow, because I started following that man and he was breaking some stuff down as a matter of fact. I got time today. I got a little time today. Hold on. Because he just did a whole thing on how Sodom and Gomorrah was not destroyed because of X, Y, and Z. Hold on. Is it this one?
Hey everybody, this is your regular reminder that the story of the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah in Genesis 19 is not in any way, shape, or form a condemnation of or a lesson about the evils of homosexuality or same-sex intercourse. The former, completely unknown in the ancient world as the framework of sexual orientation, and a homosexual orientation has only been developed since the 19th century. And the latter, because it's actually a lesson about the evils of pride and of inhospitality. And there's a parallel story in Judges 19 that helps us flesh out the details of this lesson. In both stories, you have a man or men coming into a city, and they are not inhabitants of that city, and they're shown hospitality by a local who takes them into their home. And then the men of the city surround the home and demand that the man or men be led out so that they can be sexually assaulted. Now, this is not about sexual desire. Sexual assault is about power, and that's how this threat is being used in these stories. In this time period, and even to a large degree today, men are thought to occupy the pinnacle of a social hierarchy of domination and penetration. And so for a man to be sexually assaulted is to shame and debase that man. It is to take that power and rob them of that position at the pinnacle of that social hierarchy. And there are numerous examples from the modern world of men threatening other men with sexual assault, not because they have a homosexual orientation, but because it is a means of asserting dominance, and it is a means of shaming and degrading the other man. So that's what's going on here, and this is about how inhospitable these towns are being, when in the ancient world you were expected to show a high degree of hospitality to visitors. Now, some people will point to Jude verse 7 as an illustration that this is about homosexuality or about same-sex intercourse, but that is a rather naive misreading of the Greek of this passage. Jude 7 refers to the men of Sodom going after sarkos heteros, which means other flesh. Heteros is related to hetero. And this other flesh is actually talking about the fact that these men were angels, and that humans and angels are not sexually compatible. This was actually a debate that was going on at the time, because people had reread Genesis 6 in the Greco-Roman period as a story about angels coming down and having children with humans. And a debate arose regarding, one, whether or not angels could be so disobedient to God, and two, whether or not angels were sexually compatible with humans. And some people said, no, they're not. And so they reread Genesis 6 as a story about humans being referred to as the B'nai Elohim, the sons of God. And so in the period in which Jude was being written, there was controversy about sexual compatibility of angels and humans. And so Jude 7, the context, the verses around it make clear that this is a story about angels and humans being sexually incompatible, and humans inappropriately trying to cross that boundary. Now, there is a passage in the Bible that does describe what the sin of Sodom was, and that is in Ezekiel 16, verse 49. And this whole chapter is really talking about the sins of Jerusalem, and Jerusalem is personified, and we have this metaphor metaphor of the city as the unfaithful wife of Adonai, who is going after the gods of the surrounding nations and who is sacrificing her children to these gods. And in verse 49, the text describes the sin of Sodom, says it was an abundance of bread and prosperous ease, and she did not strengthen the hand of the afflicted and the needy. Says she was haughty and committed abominations before me. Now, a lot of people who want to read this as a lesson about the evils of homosexuality or same-sex intercourse are going to latch on to that word abominations, toavot, and say, that's where they're referencing same-sex intercourse. But in addition to the fact that toavot, abominations, can refer to a lot of different things, it is used multiple times in Ezekiel chapter 16 in reference to Jerusalem's own sins, which are never described anywhere in the Hebrew Bible as having to do with same-sex intercourse. It is about infidelity to Adonai, where the personified city is going after the gods of other nations and sacrificing her children. So there are no data that support the assertion that reference to abominations is a reference to same-sex intercourse. There's not a single syllable of the Bible that suggests Genesis 19 is about homosexuality or same-sex intercourse. It's about inhospitality and the use of the threat of sexual assault against men as a means of asserting power and dominance over them and shaming and debasing them, and that is considered the very height of inhospitality. Now, there are a lot of folks who want to read this as a story about homosexuality or about same-sex intercourse because that homophobia has become an identity marker for their Christianity. And this is one of the problems with the way we approach the Bible as devotional communities. Very, very frequently, we are reading the Bible not to understand what it says, but to find ways to make it meaningful or useful for us. And if you make the Bible meaningful and useful to you by turning it into a weapon against marginalized, minoritized, and vulnerable communities and individuals, I think you have some soul searching you need to do.
Thanks.
And everybody, this is your regular.
Thanks. And I sit there and I'm like, you read it and they read it on the surface text of and the hoop the holler so that the plate could go around in the motherfucking church. Don't get me crunk, because I get crunk by stuff like this. That's why I didn't even want to be deep over into this, because I get real crunk by shit like this. You say, please post who this is. Chichi, I'm finna send you this link. I need you to put this down in the comment. I needed you to put his, what you call it, in the comment section. Because I started, because we black folks ain't with nobody's theological school. We ain't read no Greek words. We don't understand no translations of this and the other. All we heard was Big Mama say. And Big Mama can't even read the oatmeal, the Quaker Oats box, bitch. She don't even know what the words on the Quaker Oats box is. Let me send this to you, Chichi, so you can put this in the comment section. I just be feeling some kind of way. And I'm like, y'all use this, and then y'all use this type of stuff to justify the way that you are and think that you're doing the works of El Nohim. Oh, happy day. Oh, happy day. Oh, happy day. Oh, when Jesus washed. Oh, he washed my sins away. La 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 la. La 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 la. Bitch. We'll be on this for a long time, Mo. I'm gonna have to go.